Today's topic is isoenzymes, and I think in the last class I briefly explained what is isoenzymes. But these isoenzymes are important for us as a biochemist or maybe a clinical person who is dealing with many biochemical assays to assess what we call maybe a disease or disorders or something in our body or maybe related to something like heart or the muscle or liver to check whether things are working properly in the human body. So these isoenzymes play a very important role. And so the isoenzymes are given more importance. So yeah, I think in enzymes, isoenzymes are emphasized a little more. So it's because there is application for this isoenzyme, and something like maybe a myocardial infarction can be easily easily confirmed. That's like maybe if you do ECG or something else, you can confirm it. But if you do the isoenzyme profiling or isoenzyme assays, then also it is possible to assess, yes, this is the timings. If it is 12 hours, then this should be the level. If it is 14 hours, then it should be the level. So there is a option to what we call diagnose bodily problems. I could say if it's a bodily problems with the help of this isoenzymes. That's why people are given more importance to this. And there are many isoenzymes. Okay, before starting with isoenzyme orbital, there is alcohol dehydrogenase isoenzymes, alkaline phosphatase isoenzymes, creatine phosphokinase is there, lactate dehydrogenase is there. There are many isoenzymes. And for our study purpose, I took only two examples. One is lactate dehydrogenase, and one more is creatine kinase or creatine phosphokinase. Those two enzymes are taken because one play a very significant role in muscle and liver, another play in heart. So I've taken those two examples, and I'll try to explain with briefly what is isoenzymes and what are those things. So when we talk about isoenzymes, we should remember one thing. They are the multiple form of an enzyme catalyzing the same reactions. If I take 10 isoenzymes, but the reaction is same, so form is different. The form is different. If you take subunit, you chop the subunit and see the subunit one in enzyme one subunit and enzyme two subunit may be little different, but they are doing the same function in different organs. One may be working very strong in liver, one may be working very strong in muscle, one may be working in the kidney, one more may be working in the heart. So it is like that. So this is a multiple form of an enzyme catalyzing the same reactions are called as isoenzymes. However, if they are catalyzing same reaction too, there are differences. They are differ in their physical and chemical properties, which include one thing is structure, and second thing is very important, electrophoretic mobility. Today we have a number of isoenzymes. Maybe for LDH we have 5 isoenzymes. All these 5 we could say this is LDH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all with the help of this electrophoretic technique. So electrophoresis technique means you place protein in a electrophoretic mobility or maybe in a plate where gel is there. Then you apply the current. So based on the charge, these proteins start moving. When protein moves, if a protein is larger, it moves less distance. If protein is smaller, it moves different distance. So based on that, you can identify, right? Because they are different subunits, their molecular mass may be also different. Based on that, you can identify different proteins. It is like that. You take one stone and throw it to the height and measure the height. First one is small stone. So that may go up to 10 meters. Then you take a little more smaller stone. Then you throw, it may go up to 15 meters. Like that, you take smallest one, it may go up to 20 meters. Then you will get, almost you will get an idea. Yeah, this is the smallest one. This is the middle one. This is the big one. This is the biggest one. So this is the way electrophoresis is also done. One is shape, charge, and size matters here. Shape, charge, and size. Based on that, you can separate the molecules. That is the work we do it in electrophoresis. So there will be a difference in the electrophoretic mobility. They show difference in immunological properties. This is also important character. So if isoenzymes are different in immunological property means antigen-antibody reactions. So how the body reacts with bacteria, how the body reacts with virus, or how the body reacts with fungus. Same thing, any protein can be reacted in the body. So their immunological property is different because their structure is also little different. So their immunological property may vary because antigenicity may vary. So those, what is antigenicity, all those things we'll study next semesters. So detailed aspects of what you call, not next, fifth semester, immunology is that time we'll study. So then there will be a difference in Km. Km means we know, affinity, Km. there will be a difference in Vmax, initial maximum velocity. Then important thing is there will be changes in optimum pH. I hope you remember what is optimum pH. Optimum pH is the pH at which the maximum activity can be observed. So there will be a change in optimum pH. Then there will be a change in relative susceptibility to inhibitors. How inhibitors interact with LDH1 and how inhibitors interact with LDH5 will vary. That is another important thing. There will be a chance for variations. So these variations should be noticed, and it should be there because there will be variations in what we call subunits. Next is the degree of denaturations. So denaturation is the process where the protein loses its three-dimensional structure. You break the egg, put into a pan. That is what we can call a coagulation or kind of a denaturation. So then denaturation means the structural organization will be lost. So once you lose the structural organization, that protein may not be functioning well. So that's why the degree of denaturation will vary from within the isoenzymes. Even though it's a multiple form of enzyme catalyzing the same reaction, even though they are catalyzing same reaction, their degree of denaturation will vary. So when we talk about isoenzyme, all these things you should remember. One is they are multiple form of enzyme, they catalyze the same reaction, they differ in their physical and chemical properties. That means they differ in their structure, electrophoretic mobilities, immunological properties, Km, Vmax values, optimum pH, relative susceptibility to inhibitors, and degree of denaturation. Many possibilities are there. So like this, we can categorize these what you call isoenzymes. Yeah. Why these possibilities? Why these differences will come? So for this, we will quote 4 to 5 reasons. We should know, right? Many possible reasons are offered to explain the presence of isoenzymes in the living system. Why these isonatures are there for enzymes? First thing is, isoenzymes are synthesized from a different gene. If the products are from different gene, we don't know the function. Functions are same, but they are from different gene, so there will be a structural difference. Malate dehydrogenase of cytosol is different from found in the mitochondria. One example they are giving. Enzyme is malate dehydrogenase. That is in cytosol and that is in mitochondria. It's different, but function is same. Fumarate to malate conversion. The process is same. Or malate to oxaloacetate conversion. That process is same. Or any process is same, but they are different. Since they are from different genes, so they are different. So one important thing we should remember is it is from different genes. Second thing, they are oligomeric in nature. That means they will have many subunits, consist of more than one type of subunits. For example, lactate dehydrogenase, reaction phosphokinase. When we explain all those things, we'll understand what is oligomeric or different kind of subunits. That means they are oligomeric. One reason is they are oligomeric. Third thing, the enzyme may be active as a monomer or oligomer. That is very good. These enzymes can be active either in the monomer form or in a oligomer form. Example, glutamate dehydrogenase. There is a notion that isoenzymes are always oligomer. No. There are enzymes which are monomer too. They are active. That's the beauty of isoenzymes. The last one is in glycoprotein enzymes, difference in the carbohydrate content may be responsible for isoenzymes. This is one more thing. Most of the enzymes are glyco. Glyco means there will be a big carbohydrate residue in them. Glycoproteins. We have a different blood groups. It is because of the glycoprotein. So like that, this glyco molecule or glucose molecule or any molecule, it is not really glucose but carbohydrate molecules. If it is there with the protein, that may be responsible for isoenzymes. I mean,
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So your screen isn't visible completely. It's only half is visible.
Half is visible. I'll check it one
Yeah.
more time. Yeah. I'll put it one more time. Yeah. Can you see now?
Yeah. No, sir. Still, it's the
No.
same. I think it's zoomed in.
Okay. Let me check one more time. No, it's not. Only 44% is zoomed. Now you can see.
No. Now
No.
it's still the same.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll close it and open it again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That may be possible. Can you see now?
No, sir.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'll go to the next slide. Can you see this one full?
No, sir. Your
No slides are
no
slides are
slides
not
are
visible.
visible. No.
Okay, I'll present it again. Window. Now we can see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So there are 4 points. One is they are from different genes. They will have more subunits. There may be monomer or oligomer, one subunit or many subunits. They will have a glycoprotein content. So they show difference in what we call difference in the structural pattern. Example is alkaline. This is not so important, but to understand what you call isoenzymes, we need all these reasons. So we'll go to the first isoenzyme, that is lactate dehydrogenase. I hope you can see my slides. So this lactate dehydrogenase work is interconvert lactate to pyruvate, pyruvate to lactate. That's what it does. So you can see the difference, lactic acid and pyruvate. Pyruvate is the end product of what we call glycolysis. And sometimes if glucose is not, sorry, oxygen is not too much available in the body, so pyruvic acid will be converted to lactic acid to produce energy. End of the day, what body need energy, so that energy will be produced. So pyruvic acid will be converted into lactic acid, and so the lactic acid what we produce, so that will be utilized later. But this production is important to meet the energy requirement when oxygen level is low, particularly in the condition like when we do vigorous exercise, running, suddenly when we run and all the pain comes. No, this is all because of the lactic acid. So deposition in the body. But slowly after 3 or 4 days, that pain will go. So it's mainly because the lactic acid is reutilized for the productions. So this reaction is carried out by lactate dehydrogenase. Interconversions. You think like lactic acid to pyruvate, pyruvate to lactic acid conversion is possible. Help is done by NADH. NADH is the coenzyme other factors which is essential to carry out this reactions. So this lactate dehydrogenase performs same reaction in anywhere in the body. It may be liver or maybe kidney or heart or brain, anywhere it does the same thing. But important thing we should remember about this lactate dehydrogenase is this one. There are 5 lactate dehydrogenase. You might have understood them, how they got these 5 lactate isoenzymes. It is based on electrophoresis. When they separated in the electrophoresis lactate dehydrogenase, they got 5 classes of lactate dehydrogenase. So they name it as isoenzyme because they are performing same function, but they are different. Structurally, they are different. So they are LDH1, LDH2, LDH3, LDH4, LDH5. So here we have to remember there are 2 subunits. They are oligomeric enzymes. They are made up of 4 subunits. So they are called as tetrameric. And those subunits are either M subunit or H subunit. M means a muscle, H means heart. So they discovered first that subunit in muscle, so they name it as M. And another subunit is H, which is discovered in heart, so they name it as H. So these M subunits are basic in nature and H subunits are acidic in nature. M subunits are basic, H subunits are acidic. That means I hope you know what is acidic and what is basic. Basic means pH above 7. Acidic means pH below 7. So that they are either basic or acidic. But how they are different, you can have a look here. LDH1 consists of 4 H subunits. No M subunit in LDH1. 4 H subunits. You can see I put it in the square mark. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they are predominantly found in heart and RBC. H subunits. So you just have a look on LDH2. There are H3M. That means there are 3 H subunit and 1 M subunit. So they are also found mainly in heart and red blood cells. So LDH1 and LDH2 are predominantly found in heart. But LDH1 is with 4 H subunit, LDH2 with 3 H and 1 M subunit. So contradictory to this, there is another enzyme that is LDH3. You just have a look here, 2 H subunit, 2 M subunit, H2M2, equally distributed. So they are mainly found in brain and kidney. So the main location is brain, LDH3. So LDH1 and 2 in heart, LDH3 in brain. So next is LDH4. So here you can see 4 subunits are same, but 1 H and 3 M. So it's predominantly found in liver and skeletal muscle. That means predominantly in liver and little amount in skeletal muscle. But the last one, LDH5, M4, that means all subunits are M only. Like LDH1, all subunits are H. Here, all subunits are M. So they are predominantly found in skeletal muscle and small amount in liver. So when we talk about LDH1, LDH2, LDH3, LDH4, LDH5, they are all made up of 4 subunits, but the 4 subunits are different. LDH1 is only H subunit, LDH2 is 3H subunit and 1 M subunit, LDH3 is 2H, 2M, LDH4 is 1H, 3M, and LDH5 is 4M. So that the differences are there. So LDH1 and 2 are predominantly found in heart, LDH3 in brain and kidney, LDH4 in liver and skeletal muscle. To write this, sometimes when you write an exam, it is easy. So you just imagine LDH1 and 2 are same, heart and RBC, you can remember it. Only difference is LDH3, brain and kidney. LDH3 is predominantly found in brain and kidney. LDH4 and 5 are same. LDH4 you write liver and skeletal muscle. LDH5 you write skeletal muscle and liver, ulta. Because LDH4 high in liver, little less in skeletal muscle. LDH5 high in skeletal muscle, little less in liver. So it is easy to write it. That's why I put this what you call chart. Then you can remember easily. So you have to write it in exams. This subunits picture is not needed, but at least you have to write it. LDH. What are the 4 subunits? LDH2, what are the 4 subunits? LDH3, LDH4, LDH2, what is the location? Because when we apply this thing in diagnosis, it is important. It is very important to know the locations. Then only there will be use for that, right? Otherwise, what is the use of that? If you don't know the location, simply if you does the essay and you came to know LDH1 is very high, but you don't know what is the location of LDH1, then it is no use. There's no use for it. That's why you have to know LDH1 means where it is exactly high or where it is found. Now, next thing is what is the importance of LDH? Why we have to study LDH? All those mapping why we have to do. So, in the case of myocardial infarction, LDH1 is much greater than LDH2. This happens in 12 to 24 hours of infarction. So, that means if you have got some heart problem, you will go and give your blood and they'll do the blood and the analysis, and if they found LDH1 is higher than LDH2 level, so that clearly says some kind of problem happened, that is a myocardial infarction is happened. So that's why you can confirm it. So even though they do ECG and other what we call all MRI, all technique, they'll do biochemical assays. Still the biochemical assays can give you better results, better confirmations. So LDH, they'll do it. Next thing is, if LDH in serum, that is mainly, I think, LDH4, there I missed the LDH4, if it is increased in serum, that is an indicator of liver disease. Some problem is happened in the liver. So then LDH4 level will shoot up in the serum. You take the blood and do the LDH. If your LDH4 is shooted up, too much high. So slight high variation may be there. If it is a 2 means 2.1, 2.2, that is not a shoot up. Shoot up in the sense very high amount, double. Normal level is 0.2. You just imagine you are getting 0.4. That means double the amount. So that means something is went wrong in the liver. So that's why these diagnosis, these isoenzymes have got a lots of importance in the field of diagnosis. To confirm something simply without doing much circus, you can confirm it. Just 1 ml, 2 ml of blood is enough to confirm whether something is went wrong or not. But it will give a general information, but not exactly the clarity on the path. But for the other assays should be done. But this will give a clue. You don't know what is, but at least you will get a clue. Yeah, this is the clue. So there may be a problem. Then assess. Yeah, is there any problem in that particular part or not? So that's why LDH play important. So next enzyme what we are going to study is creatine phosphokinase, CPK we common. It's a very famous enzyme. It's mainly found in muscles, CPK. So this creatine phosphokinase work is same, like how lactate to pyruvate conversion happens. Here work is phosphocreatine to creatine, creatine to phosphocreatine. That means ATP to ADP, ADP to ATP. So this work it does, the phosphocreatine to creatine, creatine to phosphocreatine. So when it converts phosphocreatine to creatine, so there will be ATP generated, so energy is produced. So this reaction will be happening. It is also called as, don't get confused, see, it can be called as creatine phosphokinase or else creatine kinase. Both are same, CPK or CK. Simply CK also you can call, or CPK also you can call. Both the names are same, phosphocreatine to creatine. So ATP production will happen. So what happens? Energy will be produced. So this reaction mainly happening in the muscles. So as per our knowledge, LDH found in 5 forms, 5 isoforms. But the CPK are found in only 3 forms: CPK1, CPK2, CPK3. But they are not tetramers. Their LDH is tetramer. LDH is tetramer. There are 4 subunits. But this one is not tetramer. It is a dimer. Dimer means 2 subunits will be there. So what are those 2 subunits? One is M subunit, another is B subunit. M means why they are named as M, because it is in the muscle. B means brain. They discovered it in the brain. So subunits are either M or B, or sometimes both. MB. M may be there, B may be there, MB may be there. Both the possibilities are there. So CPK1, CPK2, CPK3. It will have a like subunits M or B. So it's a dimer. There it is tetramer, 4 subunits. Here only 2 subunits. If it is CPK1, the subunits are BB. It means brain subunits. So they are rich in brain, easy to recognize. CPK1 means brain. There are BB subunits. If it is CPK2, then it is MB, that is in heart. MB means muscle and brain. Those 2 subunits you can see in heart, CPK2. The last CPK3 is MM, only M subunits. So they are skeletal muscles. So if it is CPK1, they are concentrated mainly in the brain. If it is CPK3, they are mainly concentrated in muscle. CPK2 are mainly found in heart. So CPK1, CPK2, and CPK3. Brain, heart, and skeletal muscles. But in LDH, there are 5 isoenzymes and 4 subunits. Here, 3 isoenzymes and 2 subunits. So what is the importance of this one? So when we talk about CPK, so some importance should be there, otherwise people don't study this CPK. In healthy individuals, the isoenzyme CPK2, MB, is almost undetectable in the serum within less than 2% of total CPK. See, if a person is normal, then you cannot find this CPK2 in the, very trace amount, very less amount you can see. But after myocardial infarctions, within the first 6 to 10 hours, CPK2 increase in serum to high as 20% against 2% normal. That means 10%, 20% shoot up will happen during soon after myocardial infarctions. That means if you map both LDH and LDH3, I think LDH3 and CPK2, clearly you can say it is myocardial infarction or not. Otherwise, CPK you cannot find it. Too much CPK you cannot find in the serum. But here you can see if anything went wrong in the myocardial, in the muscle, in the heart muscles. CPK2 is isoenzyme, is not elevated in skeletal muscle disorders. That's another important thing. CPK2 is not, if anything, muscle cramps or something. Sometimes we will get confused whether it is something went wrong in the heart muscle or is there something went wrong in the skeletal muscles. If something went wrong in the skeletal muscle and then there also CPK2 increases, then it is confusing. But reality is, anything went wrong in the skeletal muscle, the CPK2 won't be shoot up. It does not shoot up in that case, only in the heart muscles. So you can clearly confirm. So that's what the work commonly the biochemists will be doing to confirm particular problem in the body. So these isoenzymes play important role. Sometimes we just ignore isoenzymes. Is it really important? But it is important. Therefore, estimation of CPK2, that means MB, is the earliest reliable indication of myocardial infarctions. So CPK2, if shoot ups in the body, that clearly says us there is a myocardial infarction happened in the person, and along with LDH3, if it shoot up, surely they can confirm it. Then they'll do ECG and other things when they confirm it. So there are other mode also, but as per my knowledge, what we call isoenzymes are so important. It will give us clarity on that part. It will give us clear-cut idea. So there is some problem in the heart, but not in the other muscles. So that's the beauty. If CPK2 is shooting up in other muscle problems, then it's confusing, utterly confusing. Then we cannot get a clarity. But it is not shooting up in that case. Only in the heart case it is shooting up. So it's clear. So like that, I hope you understood what is isoenzyme. So I just want to repeat it. Isoenzymes are they are different, but they catalyze same reaction. The structure are different, but they catalyze same reactions. So they are different in their physical and chemical properties. They are different in their Km. They are different in their Vmax. They are different in their degree of denaturation. They are different in their optimum pH. They are different in many aspects: electrophoretic mobility, immunological properties. All those things they are different, but they catalyzes the same reactions. It's either maybe because of the oligomeric nature, or maybe because of the monomeric nature, or maybe because of the glycoprotein content in them, or maybe due to they are produced from different genes. All these reasons they are quoting to say that isoenzymes exist in our body. So mainly we study two isoenzymes. One is lactate dehydrogenase and CPK, creatine phosphokinase, or CK, creatine kinase. So, LDH is performing reaction, lactate to pyruvate, pyruvate to lactate conversion. So this is very essential when there is no proper oxygen supply. Body needs the energy, so this enzyme will produce energy. And there are 5 forms of LDH, isoenzyme LDH, and they are made up of 4 subunits. They are oligomeric and they are tetrameric in nature. LDH1, LDH2, LDH3, LDH4, LDH5. LDH1 is predominantly found in heart. LDH2 is predominantly found in heart and RBC. LDH3 is in, I think, in liver. LDH4, like that it goes, skeletal muscles and all those things. So when we talk about this, LDS increasing in LDH level can be used to diagnose a myocardial infarction or something. Then comes what you call CPK. It performs phosphocreatine to creatine. During that process, ATP is produced. Those ATP can be used as an energy source for human beings. So there are 3 isoenzymes: CPK1, CPK2, CPK3, and it's made up of 2 subunits. If it is brain, then CPK1, BB subunit. If it is heart, then MB subunit. If it is CPK3, then it is skeletal muscles. Then finally, there are diagnostic importance. There are lots of importance for the CPK2. It is normally not found in the serum, less than 2, I mean very less, undetected, goes undetectable. But if anything went wrong in myocardial infarction or something happens, then the shoot up happens. But in the skeletal muscle, nothing happens. And in CPK2 level only shoot up. So there, because of that, CPK can be used as an indicator to predict myocardial infarctions. Thank you.